Reading and listening practice. If you don't have 3 minutes now, save this video for later. Listen and read the text and answer this question: who was in the right and who was in the wrong? Sarah lumbered onto the train with her heavy bag. She scanned the compartment for a free seat. Her eyes lit up when she spotted a double seat opposite an old man. She hated sharing a table with strangers, but a double seat was like gold dust, so she rushed over and threw her bag onto the seat next to the window. She decided to put everything she needed for the journey on the table. She hoped that this would stop anyone from trying to sit next to her. She was not in the mood for conversation. It had been a long day. Actually, it had been a long week. The last thing Sarah wanted was to have to make small talk with the old man sitting opposite her. She picked up her book and started to read without looking at the man. She put her headphones on and chose her favourite playlist on Spotify. After 30 minutes had passed, she started to feel a bit hungry. She opened the packet of biscuits on the table in front of her. She took a bite of the chocolate digestive and smiled inwardly. They were her favourite biscuits. They always reminded her of her childhood and her lovely mum. She glanced back at her book. Her eyes were too tired to read. It had been such a busy week at work. She started to close her eyes. But then she noticed something strange. The old man reached over and took one of her biscuits. Sarah was in shock. She couldn't believe her eyes. She stared at the old man and he smiled at her. What a cheek, she thought. First, he steals a biscuit and then he smiles at me. No apology, no "do you mind?" Sarah decided to ignore it. She didn't want to talk to him. She hoped he would get off at Clapham High Street. They continued the journey in silence. The man did not get off at Clapham High Street, nor at the next station. He sat there with a pleasant look on his face and smiled at Sarah again. Sarah took another biscuit and gazed out of the window. It was raining heavily outside, and the sky was full of ominous-looking clouds. "Oh, this weather is so depressing," she complained to herself. She thought about her stressful week at work and sighed. The long days were starting to take a toll on her. She needed to forget about work for a while and just let her hair down. Thankfully, her friends had organised a night out to take her mind off things. Sarah couldn't wait. She smiled to herself and continued gazing out of the window at the raindrops running down. It was then that she noticed the reflection of the old man taking another biscuit. Unbelievable! Sarah stared at him and took one of the biscuits herself. He didn't look embarrassed or apologetic. In fact, he smiled sweetly at her and then started reading his newspaper as though nothing had happened. The same thing happened a couple more times. Sarah felt that she'd let it go on for too long to say anything now, and she was getting off in a few stops anyway. As the train pulled into her station, Sarah stuffed everything into her bag and nodded curtly to the old man as she stood up to leave. What a strange old man, she thought. It was only as she stepped off the train and looked in her bag for her train ticket that Sarah felt her own unopened packet of biscuits. Sarah felt sick to her stomach. She'd been eating his biscuits this whole time. So who was in the wrong? Was it Sarah or the annoying old man? Write your answer in the comments.